All right, everybody. I'm not going to keep signing on like I usually do. I just thought that could get really tedious. You know who I am. You know what this is. Giants Baseball 101. It's probably time to transition to just kind of getting right to the point. This is Monday morning, by the way, at the time this was done. Hopefully you get all of these. That's why you got to subscribe if you haven't. That game yesterday, there's no reason, even though the Giants have lost two, and these were pretty big losses, they were kind of like blowouts, high-scoring games. There's no real reason for concern just about the team as a whole going into the season. I just don't think so with what we've seen, and we're going to get to that. The offense, it being good. The key pitchers are good. I guess we've only seen Logan Webb so far, really. So I just take that, assuming the key pitchers are going to be good. We pretty much got to see, all of the rest of them. But for now, there's no reason to think they won't be. So for the team as a whole, everything's going good. I am a bit concerned about Sammy Long's really bad start yesterday. 1 2/3, gave up 5 earned runs. And I'm just a bit concerned about it because they kind of have a long-standing thing with these young pitchers that don't perform well, And Sammy Long, maybe a long shot to make the opening day roster. But they're going to have to call on him if they don't trade him or anything. They're going to have to call on him at some point during the season. Maybe not just to pitch low-leverage innings, but to make starts. I mean, that's the thing with some low-leverage relievers, depending on how long they can go. They're these maybe former starters in the minors, And when they come out of the bullpen, they rarely really get to pitch when it matters too much. But they also get to make starts, which obviously you're starting out the game with a clean slate. You're going to want your pitcher to do well. So not sure how they're going to use Long. He's a long guy. I mean, he would be even if his name was short, but so whatever. This just goes to say I'm a little concerned about this. You could call it this depth of young guys, especially pitchers. If the depth isn't looking good, So that's just a bit of a thing, that it could turn out. And this start was even worse than Tyler Beatty's. I mean, at least Beatty had a little bit of potential there, but this one, hopefully things solidify as spring training goes on. Hopefully also the good players don't get injured, so we don't come down to a point of having to completely count on these young players that I'm specifically talking about the ones, and especially the pitchers, who are just kind of struggling right now. That's kind of what happens when you have a largely minor league team for your major league team. I mean, you get injured, someone else got to take the place, and when it's a superstar player that got injured, his replacement is not going to be the same quality. But those are reasons why it's good to have at least a solid, depth of resource in case such a thing should happen. But I think the best option for the Giants is just going to be don't get injured. Like Logan Webb, don't get injured. Carlos Rodon, don't get injured. And these hitters that we're going to talk about, I certainly wouldn't want Crawford or Belt getting injured. Pretty much nobody. I mean, is somebody going on the injured list even early in the season at some point? Well, yes, of course. If they can keep that to as minimal as possible. They haven't done that in the past few years. But for Crawford and Belt, I think it's a problem that they haven't gotten into the lineup yet. That they should get in today. I mean, I would think. We've gone 3 games, and neither Crawford nor Belt was in the lineup yesterday. So I guess I'm just reinstating my concern that basically they need to get at bats early on in the spring training. Oh, and not getting injured for them, it may be just as much for the Giants, of just as much importance as even performing well the way they are, about this. And I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world, I think, if they don't get at bats as early in spring training as we would like. I'm just saying, I'm not sure. Obviously, the trainers and coaches know about this better than I do, but from what I would understand about this, they're going to have to get playing experience early on here. Maybe like to prevent injury with that could have benefit in preventing injury, just getting them more reps like in spring training. Although I think we would see that as mostly a kind of performance thing, giving them at bats. I mean, there's one thing we hear talk about, and another thing we don't hear enough talk about, at least on the Giants. The thing that's talked about is giving young prospects as many at bats as possible. That's why sometimes teams say it's better to start them in the minors and give them a lot of at bats than to start them in the majors on the bench. But what doesn't seem to be getting enough consideration on the Giants is that these older veteran players are going to need at bats if you don't want them to return to their 2019 forms. Overall, by the way, I mean Crawford, he was really hot for some parts of 2019, but overall his bat was not doing much. If you don't want them, same thing with Belt, by the way, if you don't want them to return to their 2019 numbers, then I think the best thing is going to be to get them into the lineup. So Gabe Kapler is going to have to get them into the lineup today. I just think that's the wise thing to do from here. And I mean, Wilmer Flores, he hit a home run. That's looking really good with this other depth of players who could be platoon players. They're best against opposite-handed pitchers. I mean, George Washington, we've got a home run from Wilmer Flores, a home run from Lamont Wade, and a home run from Steven Duggar, all in the first 3 games. Yeah, I don't know why I said that, but if you're interested, yes, I did plan on saying it. Okay, basically to get listeners' attention. There you are. But these guys, they're performing like right away in spring training. But there's plenty of room in the lineup still for the veteran players. So I think the overall trend with the team is good. The players likely to be on the opening day roster are performing well. So this is just a good way it's going. But yeah, there are going to need to be more reps for some players just for it to hold out. It's not really with the team. It's not really about winning and losing right here. It's about what we see from individual players. And then, yeah, obviously it's going to have to sequence. Like hits are going to have to be in sequence in the season. So you're not just everybody doing their own thing in whatever inning and then the runners are all left on base. I understand that. But yeah, so spring training's got to go on. Then we got to get to the season. Thank you for watching Giants Baseball 101. Again, please don't get tired of hearing this because it's important with the season on the way. Please subscribe if you have not. Thank you if you have. And I'll see you next time.